sort of democracy
Where do we vote on that?
affords people 7-year terms in some county councils, where they're delaying the elections, where they're only meant to serve 4 years.
Well, a farcical democracy is the answer. A farcical democracy means that in actual fact, those people who are puppeteered around in Parliament as the representatives of the people are basically representatives of sectional interests controlling the society. And they control the society under one government and under another government. There's slight changes in the emphasis of the rulers in those countries. Therefore, the question I was asked at the beginning about fact-checking is an illustration of that. This week, Mark Zuckerberg... Shut up! No one allowed you to heckle. Who's heckling me?
So how would you change the election?
Shut up!
Yes, that's all you can say.
No, it's not all I can say. 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 But I'm just saying it to you because I'm trying to respond to the original question. Then I'm heckled by geese, and then you join in.
No, you don't know.
The answer. So what was that?
You don't know what I was asking.
I can't hear you. Easy, mate. What did you say?
Yeah, you see.
Go on. One more time. One more time. One more time.
Flying geese.
What about them?
He took your head off. Then he took your head off, she said.
I know. I saw the flying geese.
Why is it bad?
Anyway, as I was saying, so under Mark Zuckerberg, I think he appeared on Joe Rogan's show this week, and he said,
Mark Zuckerberg's on Joe Rogan.
Mark Zuckerberg, as I said, when the mood changes on the deck of the ship, some of the people change their position. So Mark Zuckerberg suddenly has become like Elon Musk. In fact, he was more Elon Musky than Elon Musk himself. Because Mark Zuckerberg has just... One sec. Next, the second question here. Mark Zuckerberg now turned around and said that under the regulations imposed upon him and the social media companies, he was forced against his will in chains and balls to turn around and say the vaccines, COVID vaccines this is, do not cause any harms. He was forced to say that, and he didn't want to say it. That's what he's just said.
Initially,
he was opposed to it, but he was compelled to do it.
Vaccine skepticism. He posted himself that he was vaccine skeptical.
I heard, I was mentioning earlier, I heard that inside the entourage of Mark Zuckerberg's direct inner circle, he recommended them, I heard, not to take the vaccines. But don't quote me on that, but quote me.
That is true, I think.
Did he say who forced him to?
He didn't actually say who forced him, but basically he's implying that there are groups of interest which are more powerful than him,
CIA.
which pressured him to do this. And of course, Elon Musk, the truth of the matter is there are two people who got Donald Trump elected. One of them is Elon Musk, the other is Robert Kennedy Jr. These were the two people who got Donald Trump elected.
Plus the rig system.
Robert Kennedy Jr. got him elected because he captured a different section of the vote, which Donald Trump otherwise wouldn't have captured. The anti-lockdown vote, the health vote, sections of the Democrats who supported him. He pulled probably about between 5 and 10% of the votes. That's what I reckon. And the other angle was Elon Musk, because when he took over Twitter and turned it into X, the voice of the people, he manufactured support for Donald Trump with something like $250 million. And that says it all. Now he's got this idea that he can manufacture governance in any country of the world. All he has to do, what are you doing? On behalf of the Chinese state. You've got someone spying on every word.
He's from Taiwan.
My heartbeat.
He's from Taiwan.
He's from Beijing. Directly sent by Xi Jinping. Rachel Reeves goes over there. They come to me. That's the difference. They come to me. They come to me. So, so this manipulation by a tiny cabal of crooks and gangsters at the top of capitalism is what controls democracy, so-called democracy. And it doesn't matter whether it's a proportional representation or a first past the post in the final instance. Or in America, you've got what's the electoral college, and there's all these different methodologies.
The red Star of David or the blue Star of David?
Yes.
And of course, the point I was going to make to that gentleman here was the following. The Labour Party, although ostensibly it's supposed to be a party of the working class, this man's brother was in charge of it until a couple of years ago. Yeah? So that's how mad they are. Second, when he was in charge of it, who controlled the party? It wasn't the members of the party that controlled it. It wasn't the trade unions that controlled it. It was the Israel lobby that controlled the Labour Party. And they undermined and sabotaged Jeremy Corbyn's control over the Labour Party. Or it was a very powerful factor in removing Jeremy Corbyn. And now,
I think they
Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden turned around and said, we're going to give, what was it, 3 billion, did he say last week, to Israel? 3 billion to Israel? Joe Biden said, like a week before he collapses and suffers a death, he's declared 3 billion must go to Israel. And Donald Trump is going to give more money to Israel. He's not opposed to supporting the Israelis. And Elon Musk to turn around and say, what was it he said? Oh, Keir Starmer is a paedophile, or Jess Phillips, paedophile, rape, genocide apologist. And yet Elon Musk scampered over to Israel immediately after October the 7th, ran around with Netanyahu, shown the poor people, and at no time has Elon Musk declared his opposition to the slaughter and genocide carried out in Gaza by the Israelis. So where is the so-called objectivity and wisdom of Elon Musk? And his algorithms, the X algorithm, is just designed to promote whatever latest thing he wants to masturbate to. That's the truth of the matter. Because if you look, because there's no discussion. Any discussion that is in favour of the Palestinians is pushed to the side. A discussion in favour of Israel, or in favour of Donald Trump, or in favour of Tommy Robinson,
Or in favour of Ukraine.
who are all linked together. Yeah, Tommy Robinson, Elon Musk, and Nigel Farage, they're all linked together.
Absolutely.
They're all part of the Israel
And
lobby.
together.
They're all part of the Israel lobby.
Joe
So the idea that they're standing up for freedom and free speech is a complete and absolute lie. And even Robert Kennedy, and I was reading his book and supporting his book
courage is all
for
right.
a period of time. If you look at what he's now saying, suddenly he's like halfway in between things. Shortly he'll be subordinate to the giant. He said, "I know what to do because I've run various campaigns." He doesn't know. They'll run rings around him, left, right, and centre. The NIH, the pharma companies, and all, and they're already lobbying Trump and lobbying Kennedy. And they've got enough on Kennedy. He's not even denied it. They've got enough filth on Kennedy to bring him down whenever they want. And they can always kick him out at any moment.
Allowed to get in there in the first
Because he would get a certain
Because he
vote for
was-
them.
yes.
Now that doesn't mean he won't, as I said a few weeks ago,
because he's comparable.
to the degree that he changes the attitude and approach towards healthcare in America or elsewhere, that will be a positive thing. But you've got to understand the balance of forces in power in America. And that's about big capital, monopoly capital, big finance, big business, and the long-standing bureaucracy associated with that acts as a go-between government and them. And the idea that you can eliminate them by one man turning up saying, I will fight against this, or I will fight against that, is nonsensical. As soon as you seriously threaten their power, they will mobilise their resources against you. And within the billionaires themselves, that will happen as well. And that's why for now, come here Zuckerberg, bring him in. You're part of the game. And all the pharma companies have been running over to meet at Mar-a-Lago to meet with Donald Trump as well. And Keir Starmer's about to shoot her. If he got the chance, he'd run there and stick his face up his bum as soon as he could. Of course he would. You know. Yes, of course he will. Sorry?
Yeah, he literally
He does prefer to be in the World Economic Forum. But unlike Piers Corbyn here, I do not think the World Economic Forum has a particularly significant influence anymore. The global division of power, the global splintering of power is the key characteristic of our era. It's a meeting place where the ruling classes and governments of the world used to get together and make a minimal agreement as to what they can do collectively. But there's very little now you can list that they can do collectively. And therefore, that's why Donald Trump is introducing, or will introduce, massive tariff controls over the world. The climate machinery is a giant global industry. I looked, for example, about China. I looked into the data on China over the last few weeks. And I asked, to what degree is China's energy policy, in other words, it's the biggest green energy policy of any country in the world, massive investments in solar panels, electric vehicles, in all these things that are called the green technologies. You're saying it's a PR op. Actually, when I looked into the data on it, about 10% of the policy is made based on climate stories. The rest of the policy in China, 90% of its policy is based on energy security.
Exactly.
And energy security is about protecting itself in the event of war between the West and China. That's what it's about. It's got nothing to do with green and climate and CO2. In fact, in order to produce this energy security based on green technology, China is producing thousands of times more CO2 than the Industrial Revolution produced. Every year it produces masses of CO2 in order to produce the steel industry, the concrete industry, and the modernization of China. All that massive rise in industrial emissions by China is all supposedly to create a green economy, according to the green theories. But in actual fact, what's happening is China is producing its green technology in order to guarantee energy security. Now, it could be that they've been sucked in too early, and that the late taker-uppers, for example, if America does grab Greenland, does get Canada to subordinate itself to America in extracting rare earth metals, to fund America's green industrialization and fund Tesla cars and so on, to try and take on Chinese cars. Chinese are making cars now, electric vehicles, that give a guarantee of 1 million miles.
A million?
A million miles.
A million?
Yes, a million, not a million miles on a single charge, but a guaranteed car functioning and repaired for 1 million miles.
Over its lifetime.
Over its lifetime. So the battery power, and these cars, some of the cars in China are going for several £1,000s to buy an electric vehicle. So they're way outstripping the Americans. That's why America requires the government to act as the agent to transfer resources from the people of America towards the state in order to try and compete against the Chinese. That's what Elon Musk is after. Subsidy, subsidy, subsidy.
He always has been.
Well, that's right. In Britain, we subsidise Elon Musk through the hilt. Something like £170 million we've given to Elon Musk. That's how they make their so-called clever ideas.
Yeah.
They base their ideas on money that comes out of our pockets. That's basically what it is. And then they make it, oh, he's so clever. Did you see that robot he made? What was it called? Optimus. He brought out these, he had a TV show, TV performance. He got these robots, and the robot looks a bit like Sam here, but without the face, and then moved around like this, like, hi, would you like a drink? And then he got a drink and all the rest of it, and then people were chatting to the robot, and then people thought, my God, even I thought when I watched it, I thought, well, they got robots that look like humans and can do things like humans. Turned out, a few days later we discovered, all the robots were actually remote controlled by human beings, and they were not robots at all. The responses they were given controlled by human beings, the actions they did, people were behind in the background like a puppet controlling the so-called robot. Robots cannot do what they make out they can do. The dexterity and flexibility of the human hand is too unique.
Robots, what
They can do simple tasks.
like
So,
this?
for example, could you have sex with one?
Like the ironing.
Probably you could, but yeah, they could do
He already
ironing.
has.
They could do ironing, or they can move a machine around. They can fix certain, like they've done in car manufacture and so on.
Change the light bulb, yeah.
To be fair, the Chinese at least recognised it. In general, they recognised it and use most of the robots in manufacturing, rather than trying to pretend that they can replace a human being. Although they have started making some robots that, for show, they look like a human being, or But otherwise, the idea that robots are about to take over, it's a lot of bullshit. It's a lot of bullshit. But it gives the impression of omnipotence and power driving the people in charge of society. Their robot army, their robot dog, the robot policeman. We could probably do better than the ones we got here with the robot policeman, actually. Any case, is there a final question, or shall I go pull on? Yes, sir.
Why is Musk getting involved in Farage?
Why is what?
Musk.
Why is he getting involved?
Elon Musk getting involved with Farage.
Attacking Farage. Attacking Farage. Why is
Farage.
Farage.
Elon Musk, he made a special speech a couple of days ago. Take a look out for that, on Israel. And he basically declared undying support for Israel. Undying support for Israel.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.